Good evening. Hi. Oh, sorry, starting a couple of minutes late this evening. Um, I just tried to log on to the usual machine that I use, and for some reason, a recent Windows update meant that YouTube wouldn't recognize the device and asked me for additional security. So lots of scrambling around trying to remember what my reboot and various other security passwords were. Anyway, here we are, and we made it. So I'm sorry I kept you waiting. There's been a lot in the news this week, particularly here in the UK, about preparations for Christmas. I guess partly because for many of us we're experiencing lockdown for the second time, and it's on our minds, but also because we don't really have any idea what's coming up next. We don't know whether or not when we get to the end of this period of lockdown, there will be some degree of normality. We don't know how the virus is going to continue to respond to the restricted contact that people are having at the moment. And so there are so many unknowns, things that we simply can't figure out. And so it makes planning very difficult. I sometimes think, though, that when I'm frustrated because I don't know how I'm going to plan, then I think about the people whose businesses and livelihoods are dependent on it. And that must be impossibly hard. There was an interview this week on the BBC with someone who's a turkey farmer. And he was talking about how, without knowing what people require, he finds himself potentially with all the wrong sort of birds. And of course, those decisions were made many months ago. And he is literally watching and waiting with no idea what is the best thing to do for his business, for his livestock, and ultimately for his customers as well. So many different decisions. Do I go and see somebody, but at the same time risk their health? It's unpickable. And whatever it is you're planning to do, or whatever it is you're expecting, my prayer is that God blesses you in it, that you're safe, that you have real joy in it, and that you're able to, in some way, gain that. Nevertheless, the more I think about those preparations, the confusion and the restrictions and the unknowns, the more it reminds me actually of the religious approach to the thing that as Christians we'll be celebrating. Next Sunday is the start of Advent in the church calendar. And so much of the thinking that goes around Advent is the idea of preparation, either spiritual preparation to celebrate his first arrival as the incarnate Son of God come in the flesh through Mary, or to prepare ourselves for his second Advent. If you listened to last week's session, you know that I think there's great hope in expecting the return of Jesus rather than looking for catastrophe and calamity. That I think it is to those who wait for him, who look for him a second time, that he's going to appear. And so my expectations define my living, because they're expectations of hope, of the good things that God has promised. Well, when it comes to preparation, one of the issues of a preparation mindset is that it always puts the thing that you're preparing for off in the middle distance, or potentially in the far distance, so that your view of it is as something which is coming a long way away, a long way off. I've long struggled to understand why people that don't share my faith would choose to celebrate an incarnation that they don't believe in. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of things culturally which I understand are wonderful in terms of the excuse to spend some time spoiling your family and to be appreciative of the people that you love and to give gifts to people that you care about. And particularly here in the UK, with our very sort of British stiff upper lip culture, it's probably the only time of year that you really get to express your thanks to people without them being made to feel slightly embarrassed and uncomfortable. But from a spiritual perspective, I don't even find that as curious as the mindset which is all about preparation or memorial. One of the things I know I'm going to hear a lot this year, that I hear a lot every year, is, don't you wish you'd been there? And the truth is that whilst I understand the sentiment, I don't actually wish I'd been there. I don't wish that I had been suffering under Roman occupation. I don't wish that I had been struggling to find somewhere to stay, or witnessing as a young couple bringing their first child into the world how to endure such hardship. I don't think I want to be there with the threat of Herod. I'm not sure that I would have been that keen on being surrounded by boisterous shepherds. But truth be told, the story of the Incarnation as it broke into time is not something I feel I missed out on. And the real reason for that is because the one that we're remembering at his incarnation is the one who remains today, Emmanuel, God with us. Huge amount of religious thinking and practice is about making sure you're ready for some future event, some future encounter with God, that you've got all of your boxes in a row, you've got all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted, so that at some point, should God break into your experience, or ultimately when you stand before him at the end of your period of living in this time and this creation, that you're prepared for it as best as you can be. It's about practice, it's about adherence, it's about an adequate approach with the expectation of a future event. The trouble with that, it can produce religious fatigue. And of course, it also ignores the reality that the God I am looking forward to meeting face to face one day is just as present right here, right now, as I sit here in my armchair talking to you. The creator of the universe, Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, is God with us right now. And so whilst in the practical natural, we're also caught up in getting things ready for Christmas. This is our little lad's first Christmas. I don't think he's going to understand too much of what's going on around him. And we are going to not play up to the notions of Christmas that will set him up for a long life of disappointing expectations as our resources don't match his wish list. But as we get ready for the joyful thing of a first family Christmas with a little child, and as we, in our own hearts, prepare ourselves for worship and for the things that we are going to be considering in our studies on Sunday mornings, we are thinking about the Incarnation, and we will be between now and Christmas. For all of those practical things, the reality is that if it's an encounter with God that I'm seeking, if it's the experience of the Incarnation that I'm excited about, right here, right now, I can live in the fullness of the presence of Emmanuel, Jesus Christ, God with us. In fact, I would say that the best advice on the subject of preparation comes from Isaiah. And in Isaiah 55:6, he says something which you might at first think isn't connected to preparation at all, except for this, that the preparation that was necessary for you and I to find God, to know him, to engage with him, to share our lives with him, to allow him to give us his lordship and his leading, to pass to us his wisdom, to speak to us his words, to comfort us, and to raise us and to transform us by his own presence. The preparation for that was accomplished by him. You see, as we get ready for Christmas 2020, we are remembering, at frankly, a largely random time of year that was selected by religious folk a very long time ago for their own personal reasons. But what we are remembering has already taken place. Jesus has been given. He has committed himself to forever be Emmanuel, God with us. His kingdom has come. It's here right now. I don't have to wait for some future date. In fact, to be busying myself preparing for the arrival of something which is already here might even inhibit me in my approach. So many folk, their first encounter with religious Christianity, and I don't believe that's the same thing as the church, by the way, but their first encounter with this religious idea of what God might want from them causes them to run away. They look at the standards of his righteousness. They look at the standards of the way Jesus lived and say, I simply can't do that. I don't think I'm good enough. I'm not up to this. If that's what it takes, I'll never be ready. I'll never be sorted enough. Maybe I'll come to God when finally I figured it out, but I couldn't come like I am. You know what? The preparation for you to be welcomed into the presence of God has already happened. Jesus accomplished it 2,000 years ago. At his cross, where he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. He spoke about you. And forever he broke the power of guilt and sin and shame. He broke it. It's done. The sin problem is dealt with. The welcome that he offers is a welcome to you. And it's a welcome that is made in full understanding that you are not the finished article, that you are not yet as perfect as God, that no matter how much finer and more wonderful you might be than old Dylan sat here, that by God's standards, you're probably right to be a little bit uncomfortable about what he would discover. But he loves you. And the good news of the kingdom being here is that every barrier has already been broken. Every kind of separation or exclusion has already been taken out of the way. Jesus says that the world is condemned because it doesn't trust him. And tonight, the choice to trust him is a choice to say, whether I seem ready to my friends, to my family, whether I look at myself in the mirror and feel like I'm probably putting on the best presentation of myself that's available, or I'm having a terrible time, and I don't even want to look myself in the face. God has made everything ready. And tonight might be my moment to encounter Jesus. This is what Isaiah wrote in Isaiah 55:6. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Seek the Lord. The word there means to chase after or to follow or to consult. Seek the Lord. This might be your appointment. Now might be your chance to consult with the one who loves you, the one who created you, the one who has purpose for you, the one who can give you peace and comfort and forgiveness and joy and healing. Whatever it is you need, it is available to you in Jesus. So why don't you choose to speak with him about it now? Seek the Lord, consult with the Lord, follow after the Lord while he may be found. Maybe tonight's your opportunity. You see, because he's made everything ready, because he has made the way, because he's broken the barriers, all of the things that you are worried you might not be able to fix, you might not be able to sort out so that you can be presentable to God, God already knows about. But if they keep you from seeking him, he's not a bully. He's not going to force you. He's not going to put your arm up your back. But he'll wait for you, and he'll wait for you, and he'll wait for you. And while you still have breath, there's hope. But if there's one thing we've learned this year, it's that none of us really know how much longer we've got. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Right now, he's available for you. He's totally committed to you. You don't need to wait for space in his diary. You don't need to wait for some great conference. You don't need to wait to get along to a service once churches are back together after lockdown is over, or whatever the next phase of this looks like. Right where you're at, the kingdom is there, because God is waiting to welcome those who seek him, who follow after him, who ask him that they might consult with him, who open up the conversation that Jesus offers right now. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. You know, in practical terms, we're all getting ready for this year's Christmas, and it'll be very different, no doubt, to other years. And like I said, whatever sort of season, whatever celebrations you have, I hope that they're peaceful and they're blessed and that you're safe and that you get to spend them with people who care about you and people that you care about. But don't wait for some religious memorial, for some seasonal festivities. Don't wait for some point in the calendar before you seek the presence of Emmanuel, God with us. The good news about the gospel is it's good news now. It's good news in the middle of your crisis and good news in the middle of your triumph. It's good news on your peaceful days and on your troubled days. It's good news when you are feeling beautiful and wonderful and in agreement with the world. And it's good news when you feel terrible and grotty and you can't look yourself in the face. It is right now good news. And God in Christ has made a way for you to have access to him. Such an incredible determination exists in the heart of God that you should be able to choose to know him and to trust him. That if you'll set aside all of that other baggage of being ready or tidying yourself up, where you're at right now, whatever it looks like, whatever your circumstances, God has done everything. He has made his preparations. And you simply have this opportunity to call out to him and say, God, I need you. God, I want you. God, I need your forgiveness. I need to receive your life. And maybe you don't have a lot of theology, and maybe there's all sorts of questions that you have. Maybe what you need to do is consult with him. Say, God, I want to speak to you. I want to ask you the things that I don't know about. I want to talk to you about who you are and who you say I am. And if you call on Jesus, his promise is this: he'll never turn you away. He'll never laugh at you or mock you or ignore your need or your questioning. And that from the moment you say, God, I trust you. I trust you. I want to live this life with you. Then you will have an experience more wonderful than just witnessing the manger and the host of angels and the shepherds gathering there in the street. Because you, in your own life, in your own circumstances, in your heart and soul, will experience for yourself the incarnation, the new life of Christ being born in you. I get excited about Christmas. I'm a big kid, really. And this year I have a little kid, which gives me an excuse to be even more big kiddie about Christmas than I have been in the past. But ultimately, I'm not waiting for one day to remember a past incarnation. I'm not going to spend Advent desperately trying to make sure that I'm ready for his next arrival. Because day by day by day, I know what it is to live filled with a life, but also with the companionship and the guidance and the comfort of Jesus Christ, who is today Emmanuel, God with us. I hope you have a great week. We'll be back next Sunday night for the next live stream. You can find out how to connect with us in the information that will appear below this video. It normally takes about 20 minutes to get that uploaded. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to pray for you if you've got things that you'd like us to pray into. You don't even have to tell us what they are. If you just say, hey, could you pray for me? We'd be thrilled to do that. And God bless you. And we'll speak to you soon. Bye.